Good afternoon, Falcon fans. I'm here in the office of Stephanie Young, head coach of the BGSU women's golf team, and we're going to spend a few minutes just talking with her as the fall season is wrapped up and the spring doesn't start for another 5 months. Coach Young, when we talked last in September, the team was coming off some very successful tournaments, some broken records. But things haven't gone quite as well as I'm sure you and the rest of the team would have hoped in the last two tournaments. Can you just speak for a moment about what you think might have changed over the last month?
Sure. Well, I think, again, we started out very, very hot. We're 20-some shots ahead of our average from last season. And we brought most of our players back. And to see that development, I think it's not expected. Certainly we wanted to keep that pace, but you're going to have some regression throughout the season. So we did see a little bit of, we didn't play as well as we wanted to, but I don't think it's any reason to hit the panic button. We're still on course. We're still tracking along a lot of our goals, and it's not, you're not going to have a record-breaking pace for 144 days of the season.
Now, obviously, here in Ohio, as we get closer to October and November, weather and things like that play a little bit of a role in scores going up. Obviously, all the teams that you played against, their scores have been trending up too. So, is that something that the team concentrates on or deals with? As the weather changes?
Sure. I think, the last two golf courses, and you've seen it in our scores, Rosemont Country Club at Akron, as well as Longaberger Golf Club. Anyone who's played that knows what a true test of golf that is. So I think just, building up, we've played a lot of golf. We've played harder golf courses, and the stage is a little bit more in the forefront. So there's a lot of different things that we need to deal with, and we're going to learn from them. We knew adversity was going to come at some point in the season, and we had great first three events, and we found that adversity at Akron and the MAC preview, and we will take that, learn from it, and we've got 5 months to fix things and be ready come the MAC championship.
Now, of course, you mentioned the Longaberger Golf Club in Nashport, Ohio, was where you played the MAC preview this week. That's also the site of the MAC championships, like you just mentioned, at the end of April. How do you go forward using what the players learned, even though the scores weren't maybe where you would like them to have been? How do you go forward and use what you learned to help improve at the MAC championships for a better standing?
I think there's some course management issues that came up. There's also some confidence / mental errors that we made going around the 2 rounds that we need to correct. And I think we have a team that has a lot of depth. So we have a lot of girls with a lot of different strengths that will really set up well for the Longaberger course. I think the greens, the key to the game is the greens at Longaberger. You have to set up your approach shot at the proper spots on the greens, and then once you get to the greens, you have to really be able to read them properly, to be able to get out with a 2-putt, or birdies are few and far between. So what we didn't do was get out of trouble and get out with a bogey, and we underestimated the value of a par. So we learned those are just a few things that we need to go back over and be ready for come April.
Okay, now you mentioned that obviously you've been playing with a lot of veteran leadership with both Lauren and Marissa Glue, as well as Susie and Paula. But really, for most of the season, you've also been playing with each tournament with 2 or 3 of the younger players, Amy, Kelsey, and Bailey, who don't have the experience. And what have you seen development-wise from those players as the season has gone along?
Mm-hmm. Well, first off, our captain, our co-captains, our twins, are the glue, so to speak, of this team. They are the heart and soul, and I am particularly proud. Just Lauren Glue with the 15th place finish at the MAC preview. I think from not being in the lineup at Texas, and the way she responded to that adversity and that challenge. Is something that we want to be true of our players in our program, and she embraced that. She got better in a very short amount of time, and a month and a half later, she led us on that last day with a 79 on a very, very difficult golf course. So first and foremost, I'm proud of them. The leadership starts at the top, and they've done a great job, as well as Susie has. Clearly her 74 average, her finishes speak for themselves, and we're very, very proud of the player that she's become and will continue to be for us. But I think particularly Amy Ruthenberg, the way she started out, it stems from a lot of hard work in the off season. She worked tirelessly this summer on her game. Not only technical aspects, but the mental game, and I think she really broke through and saw some tangible results. Also, Paula DiFrancesco, she had kind of her star performance at Western Carolina for us when we needed it, and she broke through and saw some rounds in the 70s that matched her overall performance. So, very proud of her. And then the freshmen have been the spark. All this depth that we have now, and the quality of competition to travel that we haven't had. It's kind of built up throughout the year. So we're at the peak of that now, and the freshmen are a main driver of that. Bailey Arnold has just done outstanding, hit the ground running, started. We've counted her scores, and particularly the highlights, probably the 74 that she fired at North Texas. So I'm just really excited about her development. Kelsey Benson, phenomenal player, standout high school. She knows how to get the ball around. She knows how to score. She knows how to win. And she went to the MAC preview. She went to North Texas, and she hasn't quite hit the tangible results yet of seeing it break through in the score, but she's coming along really nicely, and has been an outstanding addition to the team.
Well, that's one of the things I definitely wanted to ask you. What are the positive things that you've seen, from everybody that haven't translated directly to the scores that may translate, at a later date?
Sure. Well, I think score-wise, we've broken a lot of records, as you've done a great job pulling for us and on records and whatnot. But 7 rounds, I think we discussed, 7 of our 12 rounds for the fall have been at 316 or lower, and 4 or 5 of those rounds have been 306 or lower. And those are numbers that we just simply have not seen until this season. So I think it's a huge positive for us to see those results. I think the team chemistry is extremely high. I think depth-wise, to have anybody rotate in and out of the lineup and know that they can be a positive impact towards the team score is a step in the right direction. And leadership-wise, in the classroom, off the golf course, it starts with the little things, and those lead up to the big on the course. So I think that the girls have done a phenomenal job in all areas, and it's going to continue to translate into success down the road for us.
Now, looking forward, like we've said, there are 5 months between now and the start of the spring season when you travel to Rio Verde, Arizona for the Rio Verde Invitational. And then, of course, you have about another month break after that before the final stretch run in April that includes the only home tournament of the season, as well as the MAC Championships about a week after that. What will the team be doing, either as a team or individually, over the next 5 months to both keep in shape and prepare for the spring schedule?
Well, we've got the Falcon Indoor Training Facility with the putting green, the hitting bays. We'll be in here starting in a few weeks As long as we can be outside, we'll be outside. But we'll come in here. It'll be our primary training spot in the winter. The girls will start their strength and conditioning program here in a couple weeks. And last year we had our best success as far as seeing the girls get stronger, both mentally and physically, and that translated into a lot of positives for us last spring. So we're looking forward to hitting the weight room, hitting the conditioning hard, working on the things that we saw from the fall that need to get better for the spring. And ultimately, I think it's an endurance test. We have to prepare ourselves. We need to put 3 rounds together at the MAC championship, and we've talked about that. And I think we've seen it come in spurts, and now we need to figure out how to string that together. And so throughout the spring, it's hard because we go out to Rio, then there's a month off, and then it's boom, boom, boom. It's kind of our March Madness, so to speak, for golf in April, because it's just 1 week right after the other, and then ultimately at the end we'll be back at Longburger. So I think it's just we really have to pace ourselves accordingly. We have to trust in the preparation and hard work, and know that if we bring our best every day, that it's gonna add up at the end.
Okay, now one last question. What kind of challenge is it to have that 5-month break? Because clearly most other sports, here at BGSU or just in college athletics in general, don't have that really long period in between action. So what kind of challenge is it to keep the team focused and motivated?
Yeah. Well, I think, again, it's important to understand that the break essentially really isn't a break from us. We're all together. We're together. We're team building. We're conditioning. We're practicing essentially as we would outdoors, but indoors. And that's where this facility has paid huge dividends. But ultimately, the break and the challenge is from competition. So that becomes a challenge of me making sure that the girls are challenged, in our practices, and also mentally. You have to pace yourself mentally. You have to visualize yourself succeeding, trying to simulate competition as much as possible. And then it's really key for us to learn quickly and to try to get back into the routine as quick as possible once we start getting on the road. In April, the spring challenge down at the Hawthorns, and then our home tournament's a huge springboard because that's right before Max, and that usually gives us a competition boost as well. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, Coach. Congratulations on all you and the team were able to accomplish in the fall, and good luck going forward.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.